Good morning or afternoon. Happy lunchtime? Happy lunchtime. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hi everyone. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits and welcome to the December 21, January 22 ChemKnits Dialogue live stream. Once a month or at the end of the year, we have a 2-month-long one. I pick a new inspiration photo and we use that to dye some yarn. I will dye at least one version over the course of a live stream and maybe a little bit in the recap video, but I invite all of you to dye some yarn inspired by the same photo yourselves. And then you can share your photos with me on Instagram using the hashtag ChemKnitsDialogue, or reply to this inspiration photo that's on the ChemKnits Facebook page with a comment sharing your yarn, your fiber, whatever you've created inspired by this photo, and then I will pull a bunch of photos to include in the live stream recap where I share my finished dry yarn so we can see how lots of different dyers, pull colors from the photo, pull techniques from the photo, and things like that. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. We've been doing this at least 3 years, potentially more. I don't remember now. The first one was October. I don't remember if it may have been 2018, may have been the first one. But we've been doing this for a while and it's really fun to wiggle too much so I go out of focus, but it's also just really fun to share all of this. And I'm gonna double check the audio. I don't remember now. The first one was October. I don't remember. Yeah, okay, cool. Audio's working. Hello, everyone. It's a fun day for fiber folk. Yes, it is. This staff day. I guess I don't know about that. But a good day for spinners and yarn lovers. Yeah, so I think that we should hopefully have a lot of fun. And thank you to everyone who understood it. I was originally going to do the stream last night and then realized, like, I guess it's equivalent to almost sundowning lately, and so my brain doesn't work as well after dinner, and so it was just, I knew that I wouldn't be able to put the, I'm out of focus. At one point I thought that I fixed this. Let me see if I can try something again. Not that I'm currently in focus. Focus. Okay, I'm in focus now. Hopefully, it now has me. I don't know. I'm going to try not to move too much while I'm doing talking heads. You have some ideas for how to dye this to make some yarn to weave with. Ooh, that's really, really fun. Yeah, so I have a lot of ideas from this photo. Everything from speckles, like rainbow speckles with heavy black speckles, to doing some more splotched color and then doing some resist over it, or doing heavy speckles over that with black. So we're gonna play around, and I think, okay, what I did didn't work. But what I think I'm gonna start doing is we are gonna do the brights. We are gonna first dye our yarn with the lights. Well, actually, first we're gonna mix some colors, and then we'll dye based on these like bright pops of color, and then go from there. So I think anything I do today will be 2 layers at least. But let's go over to the, oh, I almost forgot. I'm having a 1-day sale in my Etsy shop, ChemKnits Creations, today only. So as I move too much, today only, January 7th, 2022, you can save 10% off all ready-to-ship items using the coupon code Happy New Year. And I put a link with the code in the video description. It's pinned in the chat as well. The only thing this excludes is the Dye Pot Weekly Lab Partner listing, but basically everything else in the shop works. Even I have a few ready-to-ship non-yarn items. The coupon should work on that as well. And so, yeah, if there's some yarn you wanted, you can go and grab it. But let's stand up and mix some colors. Oh, shoot. I want to go get the iPad so I can see the chat while I'm at the counter. That is what I forgot. So I'm going to run and get that. I'll be right back. Turn off the sound. And wahoo, I can now see the chat mostly. So hopefully, I mean, this is the good camera. Hopefully I should see if things stop working. But then I'll be able to see where we are on camera in a minute too. All right. I feel like I need to put the inspiration photo up over here because, come on, copy it. There we go. Because I want to be able to see it while I'm at the counter. Okay. Oh, and I can totally skip that ad. All right. So I think that, yeah, I basically want like a red, a pink, a slightly golden yellow, an appley green, and a blue. So I have a lot of colors here. 1% stock solutions. I mean, I also have pecan brown and true black in case I want those for the dark eventually. But I have frozen, a tiny bit of spearmint breeze, blazing orange, brilliant yellow, cherry bomb, and I have a hint of some tangelo, which I actually might use to make the golden yellow that I want. And so we're gonna start by just mixing some colors in a very non-specific way. Mainly because if you look at the pictures, there are differences. The colors shift a little bit as the lights shine. Okay, so the yellow, there's not actually an orange, but I'm going to take this yellow and add, oh dear, of course I am, oh no, I'm in a good spot, fine. I was like, oh no, I just added 2 drops of tangelo. And I want to see, I can add a little more. That's still pretty yellow. I might, oh, I guess that's 4 drops. Not that I'm keeping track. Okay, that is, do I want to take it a little more? Let's take it a little further. At some point, I'm going to be like, oh no, I went too far. Certainly the color in the cup is looking more and more. I can do a little more. It's like the perks of going just a little bit at a time and just checking the colors. There, okay. So the transition is so subtle. It is still very much a yellow. There is a little bit, it's a little bit less bright. I could on the yarn end up deciding that I do want to add a little more. The tangelo is like a pinkish orange, so I think it should be good. All right, I have some pink orchid that I have started with already. But we need a deeper blue. And so to do that, because I don't have one already, I'm going to take some Frozen and then I think I'm going to use these little pipettes a lot today. I'm going to take some pink and slowly add pink to our blue. And actually, I might be doing this with a little too much blue. Grabbing more cups, because with a turquoise and magenta, which neither of these colors really are, I guess, oh, you know what? It's not going to be a big deal because I do also need to make a purple. So if I take this too far, that's okay. So I poured a bunch of pink in, and that, it's going to break. But this has given us more of a like royal blue type color, which definitely breaks. You can see in here that we have that little halo. Okay, so now I need a purple. And for the pink, I think I'm fine with just the pink orchid on its own. But for our purple, we're gonna need more pink than blue. Because color mixing wise, that's the way things happen. And that one's not bad. Again, it breaks. So it's hard to see definitively, but I think that that is in the realm that I want. And for the red, I think that I can use the Cherry Bomb without any modification. But after that, I think I still have a green to mix. Just take a dip. Yeah, I mean, right now it's looking a little bit warm toned, but I think that's okay. Or actually, I'm going to reduce that and I'm going to add some pink to it. Because to me right now, it's looking a little bit almost orange. I don't know if that did anything. I don't know if adding pink is going to help it at all. I don't remember if Cherry Bomb shifts when, I don't know if that did much of anything. But I guess I don't mind. It's fine. I potentially could add like a drop of blue. But we'll see. Okay, so for our green, I'm starting with yellow, and then I have some Spearmint Breeze that I'm going to use. Because that's a very blue green, much, much, much bluer than what I want. But it'll be a little easier to get like a lime green. Okay, I need a bit more blue than that. That's too yellow. It's a bit easier to start with a green that already has yellow in it to try to get to the hue that I want. Then with a blue, it could be easy to go too far. And a lot of these colors are probably going to break. Ooh, that's pretty. That's pretty good. But I might just add a little more because I only have a tiny bit of this left. It may have been a little easier to start with pre-mixed colors, but sometimes it's fun to start with what you have. Okay, that green is good. So now I'm thinking I may not do the red. There's definitely red in there, but that's not a color that I'm enjoying as much. So I may have this be our palette. We've got our green, pink, purple that's gonna break, blue that's gonna break, and yellow. So I might focus on that. And then the red could always come in if I feel like that's missing, but looking at what I have here, I like these colors together a lot. And we'll see what it does on yarn. So taking a picture of that and of my mixing cloth. But yeah, I'm curious what you think about the colors. Because if you look at the lights, I could have drawn a lot of different colors from there. I'm going to make it come back to where it's big for a minute. Yeah, so oh, maybe I'll even make it bigger. Like super big. Ooh, the tree almost looks purple. Interesting, like zooming in a bit here. But if you look, the colors all have these little bit of halo around it, which is why some breaking isn't bad. I guess some of the red does look a little bit orangey, especially if you look towards the top of the screen. And there is still white. There are white lights in there as well, which is making me good to see because I'm planning on probably having some white in there. So I don't know if I will add little bits of red maybe next to some of the pinks or not. But yeah, I thought that it was worth, oh no, taking another look at this as I shrink it up again. Christine, you did not miss much. You did not miss much at all. I am really just starting and mixing colors. So I have pre-soaked, and I should move these bottles. I have pre-soaked the yarn in some water plus vinegar for, I guess, overnight, because I set it up yesterday. How many of these guys do I have? This is the third. I don't know, 4 or 5. Oh, do I really have 5? That is awesome. Because I have 5 colors. Boop, boop, boop. So these are just little pipettes so I can drop the colors on, and that's how I'm going to speckle. At least that is my plan. And I keep forgetting looking at this, that I like don't see what's real time. So let me get 3 skeins of yarn. Oh no, no. And I'm gonna do something different that I don't often do. I'm going to take this yarn and pop it into my spin dryer for a minute to remove some more liquid because I want it to be not dry, but I don't want the colors to spread too much. Okay, so the yarn is now definitely damp, but not dripping. And so I guess like I'm okay if the colors spread a bit. Having less water in here may lets the color spread more, but it also, since there's less water in here right now, it gives the yarn more space to absorb these colors that I'm putting in. And I'm gonna move this guy down. There, that's pretty good. Okay, and I'm gonna turn on my steamer basket so that can start heating up. And so what I am still undecided is I am not sure how much I'm going to love the technique I am going to try right here, right now. And that technique is to suck up dye into the dropper and then to literally just drop the dye onto the yarn. Think of it like a string of lights, right? And this is going to go in and spread. Ooh, we've got a really nice halo in here that is fun. I have no idea how many layers of yarn this is soaking into, but I do know that when we flip, we aren't going to be dripping already. And so that is our golden orange color. And I'm curious. Okay, it is really not going through very many layers. So this is something to keep in mind. And it means that as I'm adding color, I may want to think about that and move the yarn before starting another color. And this is the blue that I mixed, and it's okay to have some randomly placed. And over here, I don't see my individual little drops as much, but we're getting tiny sections that will probably last 1.5 stitches. And so this one I'm just kind of curving around. And part of the reason for curving it is so that way it is not going to be perfectly repeating. And so the thought for one of the colorways is if I like the way that this rainbow ends up after we end up steaming it and taking it out of the steamer basket, then I can try something like adding black speckles all over it to represent that night. Or we could try doing the same drip drip thing with the black in areas where there's a lot of white. So there are options there. And so that is my thought. But this is basically a different kind of way to speckle. But we can also add more color. We can add more color all over the place on here. We can choose to sorry, my brain is going. So I can, after we set it, I can decide to do like a resist point and dip it into black entirely. There's many different ways we can play with it, but I wanted to try this because it was in my brain and I wanted to see where it would go. And now this time with the pink, I'm going in a little bit more randomly because I don't really want these colors to layer and mix a ton. I don't mind if there's some of that, but I also want things to ultimately be mostly non-repeating is sort of my goal. But I'm curious what you think about bringing in that red. I don't think it's really needed. but we could also bring it in on a different version as well. So if I squish this too much, the colors could spread, but since there's not a lot of liquid in here, that gives me a better chance of not having things spread out. And happy 2022. Okay, and here's that green that I mixed. This one wasn't with Frozen, but I used Spearmint Breeze with yellow. I use my pre-mixed colors so often that I find it is handy, I think sometimes for me to provide examples of using colors that I mixed, because sometimes you also have a lot of stock solutions on hand and you want to use them up before you do something else. So there's a chance, and I mean, I don't have recipes for these colors, so there's a chance this won't work, but there's a chance we may end up with something fade set ish if like we create all these colors, and then if I decide that this is sort of the base where we're going to start for the lights for each version or not. So that's something that we will be able to decide. But I have a fair amount of yarn. Unfortunately, I considered doing this on a sparkle base because Twinkling Lights sparkle yarn really made sense, but I don't think I had enough of any one of my sparkle bases anymore because I just used a bunch of one for something else. And so I just decided to go with Stroll, which I don't think I said is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And so, let me see. Oh, what are you working on while watching? I would love to hear that too. I see stash busting blanket. So there may at some point, I may at some point play with like Very Perry, not today. Oh no, I forgot to take a picture. I'm gonna take a picture. Because that's such a neat color. All right, if I were my phone, I took a picture. Then where did oh, it's back here. I was like, did I put it in the steamer basket? That would be sad. I know I need a new phone, but maybe not that badly. And so there's a little bit of dye on the counter. Just patting it up. All of the dye that's in here so far is all just 1% stock solutions. So even though we've now mixed them to be custom colors, but it was all 1 gram of dye in 100 grams of yarn. That is the ratio. And I'm trying to spread out the yarn so that way I can, I'm spreading out the yarn so that way I can access more of the yarn at any given time. And I potentially pulled out a little too much liquid because some of these are beading on top of the yarn before sinking in, but also that's leading to something a little aesthetically pleasing. So this time, on this side, I'm starting with the green, and then I'll go through the other colors. Because last time, I think I did that with the yellow first. And maybe I did the pink was one of the last ones. But the goal is to just let it be non-repeating and to have our little flecks of colored light. Because unfortunately, the really hard thing to do is to add color onto a black background. And so that is something that is not easy to achieve without resist. And so we may do a version where we paint little blocks of color on the yarn because I'm then going to add a zip tie to it to then cover in black. So that may be a version that we do as well. But it also depends a bit on how much of each of these colors we use. Because if I run out of dye, then that would make it hard to do some of these other things. But I'm really just adding like a few drops at a time. Okay, and then with our custom blue, which I 100% could have used a blue that I have in like my stash. I just didn't have one mixed up. And so sometimes, you know, it's handy to make your own blue. And once you realize that, oh, if I add pink to like a turquoisey color, I make blue. And so that was a cool learning thing I learned from some of the color mixing I've done over the years. But I have more color mixing in me for sure. There's actually a color mixing project that is sitting. I don't know if she's here, but there's a color mixing project that I probably tomorrow now. So today ended up being a snow day, which means I don't have a full filming day because my kids are home. But notice how they're quieter now than they are if I do an evening stream. And that's because they have been a little bit bribed. They've already played in the snow and they are reading right now. Whenever my kids are home, we still do, well, they don't nap anymore, but we do like a rest time, which I think is so important for all of us. Oh, I still need yellow. You're dyeing a fluorescent variegated colorway. You know, I thought about doing fluorescent with this and going like full on Lisa Frank at one point, but then I decided to, like, I had this idea in my brain and I decided to try it. But certainly one of my original ideas was to speckle with neon fluorescent colors and then speckle with black. That is a colorway that will happen at some point. But I decided to be a little more true to these colors, which are a bit more jewel toned. I probably am going to need to open up these skeins for another round because I don't think that I'm getting enough coverage from these two layers. But the good news is that the steamer basket is warmed up. This is really pretty. I'm really happy I decided to skip the red because like I had pulled that color and I was planning to use that color, but sometimes you don't need to. I really, really like this. It's very different from what I often do. And yes, we need, I'm gonna have to spread these out a little bit more. I don't think we're going to need to do like multiple other versions, but we will need to check. And I want to be able to open them up entirely. But my big reason for removing all that liquid is that now I can still do this and there's not too much liquid in here, even though there is still like a reasonable amount of liquid. So just trying to expose areas as much as possible. And feel free to leave questions. What kind of dyes am I using? I am using, I think they are all Dharma acid dyes. But I am not 100% sure. I don't know if the yellow could be Jacquard. I didn't write the brand down. But actually, if it's brilliant yellow, that might be Dharma, because I think bright yellow is Jacquard, but I don't remember. And the colors I mixed at the beginning using various stock solutions I had on hand, which is something that I like to do sometimes because it allows me to both leave no dye behind, but also I want to recognize that I have a lot of pre-mixed acid dye colors. Not everyone else does. Not everyone else collects them all. I mean, a lot of people may, but it's not essential in order to dye yarn. Okay, certainly I've mixed a lot of colors, but I'm also realizing I don't have enough of these colors that I mixed to do this 12 times. And I think it's funny because at first I was like, ooh, maybe I'll do this like dot technique 12 times. And I don't know if I have that in me, but I also don't know. All right, I have an idea. I think we might change gears and do a layer of black first with resist, and then we might add polka dots to it after the fact versus starting with the lights. I think that that could be a fun thing to do for the next colorway and just give us some variety too. Because then I wouldn't need to add the dots all over. I could just focus on those areas of bright that we have left. So I think that that's what I'm going to do for the next colorway. And I don't know, because I'm liking this so much. I am undecided if, like, because I kind of wanted to leave one without black. But we'll see. We'll see what happens when we do this next colorway that's in my brain. And so we're going to do some resist dyeing. And I think I want to do it that way because then instead of, what I'm realizing here, there's enough white that by adding my polka dots on here, when I do the resist, it'd be hard to control for all of the colors. And I'm really liking having it be like speckly. So yeah, and sorry guys if I'm not paying enough attention to the chat. I will pick this up one more time to see if there's anywhere else that needs some color. I am paying attention to like the layer because there's multiple layers of yarn like visible. And so some of these drops I know are going to like an underlayer. And I'm also trying to keep track of edges. So there we go. So I think is the pink the only color that I used without changing? Yes. The pink is just Pink Orchid, which I've decided is one of my favorite pinks lately. I've been really, really into it. As soon as I get this steaming, then I will sit down and we'll chat a minute before I start the resist. Okay, I still need green and blue. Yay, I'm glad you made it live. You're not sure if you're going to use food color or dye powder? Yeah, it's sometimes hard to decide. I think, considered using a combination of food coloring and then acid dyes at one point as well. So I think I'm going a bit heavier on this layer. It's fun starting with a blue that is not a primary because like this is a custom blue that we mixed with pink and frozen, which is not, frozen is not a very pigmented color. So don't forget that. There we go. And now the green, which the green and the golden yellow that I made, those are the ones that we are most likely to run out of. There's someone else who, it was funny because I was talking about this kind of technique in DMs and I was like, oh, this thing might work. Of course, I'm going pretty heavy, but you could do this with like 1 or 2 colors and still leave a lot more white. I think that doing, what am I have, 5 colors? It's making me want to cough. It's making me want to add more. Excuse me. Some days, you know, it's funny because I only mixed up the pink fresh today, but even just using my mask for short periods of times dries out my throat. Does that happen to anyone else? Okay, so now what I want to see is if we have any regions that feel like they don't have a lot of color. And this is always the thing with me, right? Because sometimes I can never stop. But sometimes you end up with a section of yarn that legitimately did not have very much color just because it was always on the underneath. And so that is what we are looking for. Because we don't want something completely unbalanced, but it is also okay when you're doing something random for it to be random. And I guess conceivably I'm going to be speckling with black on top of this. I probably will still do that. But I would probably mix the black with citric acid, and I might do that in like a second step later. I guess maybe on Monday, because now the weekend and everyone is home, but my kids are being nice and quiet. I could keep adding colors forever. Okay. Okay, I see, like, let's do some green. I'm just looking for clumps. Okay, I think we're pretty good. And now I'm going to go put this in a steamer basket and steam it for 30 minutes. Okay, now the counter is a little bit dirty, so I am going to come with the next 3 skeins that we're planning to use. And this time I'm not going to squeeze out liquid in the same kind of way, but I'm going to take these and mop up some color, because my plan with these is to do some resist dyeing and then add color on after. So I don't entirely mind if we end up with little bits of color on it, because I'm going to over dye it with, I think, a combination of like black and brown, maybe with some hints of some red. Looking at some of the halo, but I'm going to set this down here because why not rescue any dye? And I'm going to come and chat, so that way I can read the chat a bit better. I can see it, but it's a little bit small for my eyes. Oh. The problem is that I really like this colorway I just did, and so my concern with adding heavy speckles to those dots is that I don't want them all to disappear, but I also think it's a really, really fun base to add really heavy black speckles on top to bring more of that night in. So this is one of those places where sometimes I get into a video where I have a vision and a plan I want to try. And so I do the first step and I really like where it is right then. And so therefore I'm unsure if I want to go through to the second step. And that's a feeling that I end up having, I think, a lot. Like, it's not unique. I'm going to reduce the steam. But also I realized, like, I was like, okay, we'll see, like, how I feel with dotting these colors. Like, is that harder? But I find that because when I am leaning over the counter, I'm trying to not, like, rest my body on the counter, then it makes, like, my shoulders sore. So, like, I noticed that. But let's see. Yeah, so these were little, I don't know if they're 2 milliliter. Let me see if I can help figure out what you can search for. I mean, I think if you just search for like a pipette. Yeah, you can find, like, even Staples has them. Eyedropper pipettes and pipettes, I think, are 2 things you could search for to find, like, sets of them. These ones potentially either came, they may have came from a set of syringes that I got, because I use the plastic syringes to measure a lot as well. Judy said, I was thinking about how handy it would be if Wilted Diaper carried a reverse version of that zebra base, mostly black with some white patches. Ooh, that would be really, really cool. And, you know, it's funny, I have a lot of zebra base on hand, like a lot of zebra base on hand. And I'm also now surprised that I didn't pull that for this project, because that also would have been a really good fit for this. But again, not quite enough black. You said your mask is on so much, as a teacher, your mask is on so much, you often try to eat your lunch while it's still on. Oh man. You know, it's funny because when I was saying about, like, the mask, it sometimes makes me cough. The respirator I use with the P100 filters, the filters are really thick and it just removes, it both can get really sweaty underneath it, but it also kind of soaks up the moisture. So, like, my throat gets really, really dry when I'm using it. And probably also because in the respirator with the thick filters, it is more effort to breathe in. And so sometimes I just find that, like, oh, I cough a little bit after. Brittany asked if I pre-soaked the yarn in acid. Yes, I pre-soaked 12 skeins in a 5-gallon bucket, which was mostly full. Well, it's mostly full with yarn, but with water and probably like 2 cups of vinegar is roughly what I put in. And so, yeah, that's what I've got going on there. Oh man, yeah, I think that I like the effect that I'm getting and I like these colors, but I think that I would not necessarily be happy if I did a resist over that base. So yeah, we'll start with doing resist first and then adding in the color. But so the question now is, what type of resist do we want to do? Because I could sort of interlock the skeins together in a way. So we get resist that way. I mean, I probably also could use some zip ties. Yeah, there's some questions there about how do I want to prevent the black color likely. I don't know if I have enough. I think I have the powder down here, so I can mix more if I needed to. You were just notified. Yes, the replay will always be there. I think there were a few times when I was still streaming from my phone that YouTube would then not save it after, and it was so frustrating. Oh, cool! Watermelon socks. sounds great. The rind is a little large, but you know, some watermelons have a very large rind, so that can work. That can work, but yeah. And now I'm sitting and I'm like, oh, feels good. I did have a plan. So I have a kitchen island, and then we have a tiny butcher block at the end of it. And I was realizing I could probably set up the computer over there and then have a chair versus sitting on the floor. So maybe eventually I can play around with the new stream setup, especially if, at least for the like shorter term, I have a feeling that more streams are going to be happening daytime versus evening, because I work better then. It's easier for me, and my brain has less of a shutdown. So, ooh, yarn cake kettle dyeing resist. That is cool. But yeah, with the yarn wet, that would be a tiny bit hard. But yeah, let's go back to the counter and think. Oh, now I can decide if it's too blown out. I really raised the brightness, but I think I did it too much. As I like sit down and finished this. Oof, all right. Ooh, and my shoes. I have a pair of inside Crocs that unfortunately are getting really worn out. They are my don't break a foot socks. Okay, I think I'm gonna hide the image for now, because we're just gonna be thinking about the dark. So there are a few things that we can do to add resist. And I think the first thing I want to do is double up all of the skeins. I thought about linking them together like I've done with mini skeins when I have chains of them, you know. Ooh. I was like planning out video ideas for, I said this last night, but I think that the SMS this year is probably going to be a spring mini skein mini series instead of summer. This is a little harder to do with the yarn already wet. Okay. So I've done that. And yeah, I think I'm just going to go straight for the zip ties. Zip ties. Okay. Let's do. Oh, that's not getting very tight. Okay, so you might not be a good one. Sometimes as they get older, they don't do as good of a job getting nice and tight. And so all three of these skeins aren't going to be exactly the same. Oh, you think it's too dark now? I mean, my kitchen, because it's snowy, my kitchen, it does look more like what I see in person now. It was looking rather blown out previously. Okay, and then I'm going to add another zip tie right next to this one. Okay, and we don't necessarily need it to be black. We want it to be grayish. Okay, let's see. No, I'm just going for it. So with a section like this, the dye will have less access to some of this interior portion as well. So it's pretty fun. But again, these are not all going to be identical. I just have to decide how many sections I want. Okay, let's do one on the side that's close to the double. And I will get more zip ties. I'm doing approximately the same pattern. I got so many zip ties. Okay. Okay. And then maybe just another double over here, and then we'll call that. Or this one I'm going to space a little bit. So the first double was right next to each other. The next double is like it's approximately on the other side and has like a little bit of spacing between it. And so the plan is going to be to dye this a dark color, and then we're going to add those colors on top of it. That is at least our plan. And we'll see how that goes. It's probably going to be too much dark. Oh, I have more black than I thought. Okay, that's good. Okay, cool. Now let me get my steam pan. And I'm going to pop these in and move this to where I believe you guys can see it. I'm also going to take a picture. But I lost my phone again. It was in the same place as last time. Oh, and I can check over here to see if you can see. Yeah, mostly. I'll tilt it. Okay, the phone is now behind my laptop when I miss it again. I soaked the yarn with vinegar. Wait, Lorna, it's even harder to see now that I moved it over. I mean, some aspects are harder to see because of just that there's a wall, but, okay, now I need to make some dye. So actually, I'm gonna get gloves and we're gonna add into this big jar, an 8-cup jar that I need to see where it is. Okay, can't really see it, you can a little bit see. All right. Because yeah, the color, I'm looking on the iPad and the colors look pretty good to me. Let's take this. Okay, I have a 1% stock solution of True Black. And let's take, how much? Oh, good. I was like, I hope I have 200 milliliters, and I do. So that's the equivalent of 2 grams. And I'm going to take approximately half of this, oh dear, and make a mess. Oh, I nailed that. I nailed that. That's great. Okay, half of that, put it in here, and now I'm going to fill this with water. Okay, there's only a little over a liter because it foamed. What some dyes do sometimes. Yeah, I'm only at about 5 cups. Hey, kiddo. Why are you playing with the door, sweetie? Okay, can you shut your door, please? Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, and now eventually we're gonna pour it on, but I'm gonna start just using this lovely dollar store turkey baster. Start with just crudely applying some on top. And this is to prevent me applying like too much in some areas and not others. And I've said there's already acid in here. So I will be adding more acid at some point, but I'm not getting perfect coverage. I just wanted to spread it over a bit before adding more liquid, because it's possible that when I pour, it's not going to be very evenly distributed, and so therefore like one section will get access to a lot more color than another. And so this is just letting me spread it out a little bit. I'm going to add more water. Now I'm going to start pouring. Trying to be a little fair so everything gets some, and trying to make sure these zip ties that are out can be in. Clean that up. Okay. And now I am starting to soak up this dye. I am going to want a lot more water, so that way things will float more, but that's also why we still have more dye. You're going to have to catch the playback. Oh, you've been without water since January 1st? Ooh, I hope that it gets fixed. Good luck. Okay, this is our other gram of dye. So I have no idea if there's some soap left in here or what makes the dye foam sometimes. But this time I have closer to 8 cups of water. And applying it and moving things. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to force dye into some of these other areas, because that's not what we are going for. That's not the effect that we want. I am going to add acid, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A fair amount of acid, because yeah, I'm also going to add, I think, a tiny bit more water, and then we're going to go heat it up. And by tiny bit, like 6 or 8 cups. I'm really going a lot based on feel here. So now the yarn has a little bit more ability to float, and we will have the option to add more black onto areas if we need to as well. But I'm going to take this over to the stove after I grab a photo to heat that. And hopefully, you know, we're going to have a situation. What? No, no, no. What is it doing? No, no, no phone. Why are you taking 1,000 pictures? What on earth was that? It's like it did a burst. What? And apologies if I don't know if I just swore. Sorry. Oh God. I try to avoid that, but that was like, I don't know why it took a burst. No, I want you to move the entire thing to the trash. Okay. It's like, I did not tell it to burst. I need a new phone. Okay, that time it took one picture. That was what I wanted. Okay, you are going to the stove. Okay. And our steaming yarn is approaching done. So there's a chance that I might need to do the next steps pre-filmed for the recap. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But as I come and approach a forward-facing camera, mainly because the two techniques that I've done so far complement each other. One, I've done my lights and I need to add black. Even though I like where it is, I still think I'm going to go ahead and add black speckles to it, even if it's going to get too busy and I may not like it. I may like this version more. I'm going to go for it and do it. This other version, we are going to have white or lighter resists, and then in those areas, I am going to drop on the color in the smaller canvases, maybe going beyond a tiny bit onto the gray, and we may decide to add more black on some of those other areas as well. Whether it is going to be with speckles, because I'll probably have those made from the other colorway, or something else. So those are two sort of complementary ways that I'm going about this. But what I want with both of those is I want to use the same colors that I've mixed, and some are running low. So this is where a lot depends on how quickly the stove heats up and how quickly we absorb that black. Because the problem with doing, excuse me, the problem with doing a zip tie resist is that at times, like it can take, because the yarn isn't as free flowing, the surface area ratio is less, and so therefore it can sometimes take a little more time to absorb that color, but we'll see. It could happen pretty quickly. So I didn't swear? Okay. And I say this also, I said that, I mean, I said like, oh no, did I? Because this morning I like filmed a video of Indy going outside, and when I played it for Keith, he's like, oh, did you just say like a word? And I was like, I don't think so. We're playing it back. It does sound like I did. And I was like, that's not what I thought I was saying. I thought I was saying fine, not something else in my memory. So therefore I was like, I don't know if I censored myself. I try not to swear in videos. I swear all the time outside of it, but I try not to swear on camera because, you know, sometimes kids watch. So thank you. I try to like, yeah, just keep the language okay if someone younger is watching with a parent. So that's why I try. But yeah, I'm really excited that I decided, like I pre-soaked enough yarn so I could be ready to go with a few different things. And I knew one way that I wanted to do like a resist, and I wanted to play with a speckle. But I'm just really, really happy right now because I didn't think I would start with the black on one, and so that's a fun way to play. But let me go check Like, do I have anything in? No, I don't have like an interesting waiting screen. I also don't have a camera over on the stove today because that is not what I did. Reduce you. Check on lots of dye in there. Check on that. Okay. While we are waiting, I am going to go on a quick little break. I will be back really, really shortly. And yeah, you may or may not see an ad when I go on break. But in the meantime, while you're waiting for me to come back, go and check out the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. I am having a coupon today only. Use the coupon code Happy New Year for 10% off all ready-to-ship items in my shop. The only exclusion is the Dye Pot Weekly Lab Partner listings, but everything else is included in that. So you can go check that out, and I will be back in a minute or two. I'm back! And the timer went off. I'm going to turn off the steamer basket for now because we may as well, but I want to show y'all what we got. And I'm going to have to move it, but here is our lights, which it's funny because some ways when I twist it, you're like, ooh, there's less color, but we have a fair amount of color in here. And talking about foul language, I slipped on the ice yesterday when I was crossing the street, and my hands are fine, thankfully, but I scraped up my palms and skinned my knee, and I swore. My knee, it doesn't really hurt when I'm walking, but I can't I can't crawl on it. That hurts. But I'm actually going to move this so we don't melt. I don't know if the shower curtain would melt, but this is this first layer, and then I plan to mix some True Black dye with some citric acid, and conceivably, I don't know if I'd choose to add some rainbow colors, but I'm going to add in those black speckles maybe on the countertop followed by steaming. But I don't think I'm going to do that right now, mainly because my kids are around and will be coming down later, and so there's less time for a cleanup of that. So I'm trying to decide what I want to do right now. Because, and I should set a timer now for 25 minutes. Okay, the water is starting to clear from our resist bath. Ideally, and I'm moving the yarn in the pan, which of course you can't see because I didn't set up a camera over here. Ideally, it'll all absorb, because then we can, even with a little warm, remove the resists and do some of that color. That would be ideal. And there's a chance it does seem to be clearing pretty well. I mean, it's not exactly clear, but that's going well. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'll come back in front of the camera. So the camera that I use for a front-facing camera in these streams is one that has like a little ring light attached to it, which I like because when I sit on the floor, it's dark. And so I'm like, ooh, it gives me a little bit more light. Well, the problem is that it is such a picky, it's so sensitive. At one point I did something, I thought it was the buffering. Now I'm curious. I still feel like I'm in focus. I turned off like an auto focus thing, and I'm now seeing if it's going to go haywire. So maybe doing that helped, because maybe it was just trying to focus on me moving too much. So maybe. It's cute when toddlers when toddlers do silly things. But yeah, so things I am working on. In maybe sometime next week, I'll open up. I'm going to do a Valentine's Day colorway, and I'm going to plan it enough in advance this year, which will come with like a little Valentine. I'll make like, I'm designing like a paper cut Valentine that I can make and sign. And so just like a little, I really like putting things together that feel like you're getting yourself a treat, or that someone, like, I want it to feel like I'm sending a present. You know, I really enjoy that. So I'm going to do a Valentine's Day colorway. I have to just figure, I know the colors I want to use. I have to figure out the technique I want to use. And then, yeah. I'm excited. So, because last year I did a layered tonal, which is like one of my favorite kinds of colorways to knit with, but I want to mix it up and do something a bit different from what I did then. So I'm going to do something a little different from that. And then, yeah, and then soon after that, I'm about to get started doing the spring mini skein mini series. That the videos will probably come out at the end of May. And one reason why I decided to shift that from June or July to May is that last year when I did it at the end of June, it ended up being like the kids finished school and then I was immediately going straight into a series of nightly videos. And so the end, it was just a lot. It was a lot like mentally, and so I wanted to try to move away from that. And then also thinking about if we're doing, even if it's just like local travel, trying to like plan around that and things like that as well. So yeah, I think that I'm going to try to do that in May because the kids will definitely still be in school. And so that will, yeah, then give like a moment of more calm at the beginning of the summer. But then, and I have to figure out the timing for this. It's conceivably towards the thing, maybe towards the end of August, there will be a small kind of special. And another reason why I'm splitting it up into two is that there's a theme that may or may not involve my kids, and it may or may not be a little bit nerdy, that I really want to do, but may not be as exciting for everyone. And so, yeah, they each have a theme, and they're pretty different. And yeah, I think it'll be fun. But I have the spring mini-series, y'all. I have something that's going into this that, you know, I just got the proofs for. It's in production. There's something that I have wanted to do for years. And yes, there will be some, when the series launches, there will be some of this thing I'm hinting about available in my shop as well. There should be. Or at least if not, then I'll do another run of them. So I'm very excited, very excited. It's boiling too much, so I'll be right back. I would swap the camera, but what can I swap it to? Okay, we're actually looking pretty good. That's pretty darn clear. I'm gonna turn off the heat and we are gonna remove this yarn. Where am I gonna put you? Okay, you're gonna come over here. I'm gonna put you away. Oh, you're not dry yet. Well then, fine. So now I'm gonna try to remove, even though I know you can't see anything because actually I guess I can move, you might get a glimpse in the pan. I don't have a stove camera today. Normally this was only on the heat for maybe like 15 minutes or so, maybe even less. Normally I would give it a lot more time, but the reason for not doing that is that we're gonna steam set things anyway, so there's gonna be more time. But what I do need to happen is I need this to cool off, so that way I can handle it comfortably. Ooh, you know what I can do? My mudroom isn't heated. Oh no. All right. Oh, I got stuck. That's not good. No, don't. There we go. I'm like, don't break any yarn. Okay. I'm going to set this over here for a tiny bit, and then I will take it to the mudroom but it'll be hard to see because it's so steamy. But I'm seeing some white patches, and that's where we can add our color. Ooh, so steamy. Okay, actually, we are going to take it, I'm going to put it in the mudroom now. It's just steaming in the mudroom. So I need it to cool off it doesn't need to be cold. It just has to cool off enough so that way I can touch it without going, ow, 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 ow. Hello. We have done 2 different types of colorways so far. And one is a black resist that had a couple pops of color just because I wiped the counter off. And so we're going to remove those zip ties once it cools down a little bit, and then I'm going to add the little colored lights into the light areas on there, which I'm very excited about. And then the other one, I added little bits of these colors all over, and then I'm going to add black speckles on. Probably, I think I'm going to not do that live, but I'm going to film it and do it for the live stream recap, which will come out in mid-February. Sometimes I get questions about how much time you have to participate in the dialogue, and well, really, you have a fair amount of time. Basically, you can submit photos up until I export the recap, which usually, if you submit photos by the 10th of the next month, then usually I haven't done it yet. So usually I will wait until between the 10th and 15th to pull photos for the recap video. And so I sometimes will comment on the Facebook photo like, okay, I'm going to start pulling photos soon. So yeah, that's how much time you have there. Ooh. Yay. Oh, goody. But yeah, so, oh, brain. But yeah, we got a lot of snow. I would say at least 8 inches. And maybe more. I haven't peeked to see if like more is accumulating. They didn't even plow like the street where my driveway is until like 10 a.m. It was, I mean, they may have plowed it at some point in the night, but it was full of snow. And then the other street next to my house, I'm like, well, you can drive there, but not there. Oh, you got part on video? Oh, man. Toddlers are so funny. Yesterday, I was having Ryder and Lucas watch videos of like Ryder's first couple weeks of life, and it was so hilarious because Lucas was 2 years and 3 or 4 months. November, December. He was 2 years, 3 months when his brother was born. So like peak toddler, and Lucas was extremely verbal, and it was just like hilarious how adorable it was, and also funny to see me and Keith look back in the videos and be like, we were so patient back then. I was like, we were just, so patient, but also like, Keith had like, I mean, it was, we just had the new baby and it was a transition and everything. But I mean, the newborn was adorable, but was just like seeing how excited Lucas was to be a big brother was delightful. And so looking back through that was just adorable. And seeing how his brain worked, and like realizing like that 2-year-old is now this, worldly 8-year-old who, someday I'll look back at videos from now and be like, oh my gosh, he was so little. So yeah, it's cute. I have videos of the kids saying that they're going to live with me forever. They're always going to live in my house. Even when they're in college, I'm like, oh man, I should earmark some of these for like graduation parties or something. But they're so sweet. And although, I mean, most of the time they're sweet. They fight a lot. But that's what brothers do. But they're still each other's best friend. And like, they don't like being separated. Although it's quiet now because during rest time they are separated. Because if they're together, they're playing and arguing versus having that break. And I forget when, I would say maybe once a month or every other month, Ryder, who's almost 6, will take a nap. Especially if he's going through like a growth spurt or something. But otherwise, like Lucas napped at home for a very long time, but never napped at school. Ever. He never napped at school. Maybe like twice in the entire time he was there. Ryder frequently napped at school, so they're quite different that way. But they both love to read, which is amazing. And just once they stopped napping as much, I was like, nope, mama needs a break in the afternoon. And so when Lucas was younger, it was only like about an hour. It's like, you have an hour of quiet play, and now it's a couple hours long. And sometimes like we'll skip it. If we're like seeing family or doing something, it's not like hard and fast, but it does make a huge difference with how they are around dinner time and after dinner. When we skip it, then they're more likely to fight and to argue because they haven't had that time to focus on like themselves and to just have like calm activity. And they're allowed to play as long as it's quiet. And so, yeah, that's during the whole pandemic, that's a lot of the times when I would film and stuff would be during rest, or evenings or weekends. And so Keith and I would just trade off. But actually he's in a meeting right now, and I was like explaining to someone, I was like, oh, I have a meeting this afternoon, because I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand it's a live stream, but it's like a meeting. It's like we're having a meeting and hanging out and doing a demo. And so it's fun. But yeah, I'm just so grateful for school. Like the end of the semester felt so busy, and this week, like, I got a lot done, and I was like, man, I'm hitting the ground running. And it was they always have a half day on Wednesdays, so they only had 3.5 days of school. But I was like, man, I filmed most of excuse me, most of 3 different videos, and edited a lot of other videos, shipped a lot of yarn. So that felt pretty good. And I'm just so excited for a lot of the stuff that I want to film this year. I have to figure out, because I have a color mixing video I'm working on, and it actually, even indoors when it's not that warm, it did like absorb all the color within 24 hours. I just need the time to heat set it. And so if they were at school, that's what I would have done this morning. But they were home and playing in the snow, so, which was fun. All right, I'm gonna go check. Actually, I'll just leave the camera here. So I'm gonna go check the mud room, see how steamy the yarn is. I may regret introducing Steven to there. I flipped the yarn over, so it's cooler. It's cooler, but not quite ready for me to play with it without my fingers then being sensitive later. But I do want to try to do that in today's stream. So hopefully not too long before I'm able to access it. But yeah, Ryder still wants to do his dyeing water video. You have an odd question about washing wool. I've heard some say you can use shampoo. Is that true? You're really allergic to soaps. There's only a few you can use. I mean, if I was going to use a shampoo, I would try to have one that maybe is neutral pH, because I don't think it would necessarily be bad for the wool, but I think that, you know, it could be fine, especially if you're allergic to a lot of soaps. I mean, is there like I know a lot of people will use like wool soak for washing wool. Um, and I don't know if I've used laundry detergent. Mostly I just use like a clear dish soap, which I don't know if there's less ingredients in that than shampoo. But I would say if there's like a simple shampoo that doesn't irritate you, then you know what you could do? Do a swatch. Knit a swatch and some yarn and try that. I'm not sure, like, the lathering concerns me a little bit if that could cause some felting, because shampoos are really made to like lather. There's ingredients in there that do that, but yeah, so it depends. But so maybe I would try on a swatch just to see how it does and how easy it is to rinse out. That's often my answer. Try swatch. Lizzie, you missed part of it, but not all of it. I am waiting for a resist dyed yarn to cool off. Actually, maybe, let me see if I can pull some photos. Did they upload? Oh my God. Oh. No, I just got, oh my gosh. There was like memories of Lucas and one of our like really good friends' kid from when they were like tiny. It was a Halloween, I think before Ryder was even born. So I was like trying to see if the pictures had uploaded, and they have not. What? I thought that they were in photos. Oh no, they're uploading. Fine. Oh, 57 items? Okay, fine. That's not going to be fast. If it was going to be fast, then I would pull it. But, yeah. Ah, Gretchen would know about shampoo. Well, shampoo is going to be acidic because the natural pH of your hair is about 4.5. Oh, good. Okay. Acidic is fine. I wasn't sure. Great. And you've used baby shampoo. Yeah, a baby wash is nice and gentle. That's probably fine. Baby wash is a really good idea, especially if that like is like fine for doesn't irritate your skin. But in one more minute, I'm going to go check again. I have a notification that like rain is stopping soon. Does that mean the snow is stopping? Because it's not raining. See a little umbrella image. My kids, it's funny because my kids still use like a baby wash as shampoo, and Ryder has long hair now. This I can probably find a picture of. Rue. Maybe not. I have a picture of just him. Lucas needs a haircut too. Where's a picture of my oldest without a hat? Okay. Copy image. No. No. Okay, fine. That didn't work. Let me see if I can download it. Oh, I can do it this way. Fine. I was trying to drag it from a website. There we go. Oh, except of course that's Lucas. Come on. It's way too big. Okay. Ryder's hair is very long now. Very, very, very long. And so it gets tangled if you just blink. And I'm not used to that. And so we have a detangling spray, but I don't know if I need to have them like on a more like shampoo conditioner regimen or something, because his hair is so straight. Like mine is straight, is like wavy, but like the like maybe like one step up from straight, but his hair is very straight. I'm excited to see how my yarn goes too. You're allergic to sulfate, so anything with that is a no-go. Okay. Because let me see. Baby wash ingredients. I'm now curious. Where are the ingredients? Show me a picture of the label. Water. Wait. There is a sulfate in there. I don't know if that's one you're allergic to, but there is in the like head to toe body wash. But there are other baby washes. So yeah, I would see. But I think the one we use does have sulfates, it looks like. All right, I'm gonna go check on a little hair shampoo digression. If you just joined in, it arrived naturally. We're talking about washing yarn. Yay, yarn. I mean, it's warm, but I'm not whining yet. Ow! Although I scraped myself. This is why these aluminum pans only last a certain period of time. Eventually they crease, but also exposure to acid starts to eat away at them. So this one is about ready to be recycled, unfortunately. Okay, let's open these up. So you can get really good resists with string too, but I really like using zip ties because see how easy that is to come off? And ta-da! White patches. I don't think I've done things this way before. There was one time I did a resist to be like, ooh, what happens if you have a white spot? How might you fix that? But I don't think I've done resist first and then dyed over it, but I don't think I've painted different colors over the resist points like I'm going to be doing right here. And so I know that, ooh, this one had some purple in it. Great, great start. I know that this is not going to be the same as, ooh, this is fun. See? This is definitely not the same as, like the picture. There's not as many white patches, but we now have a choice. I could go and on these white patches do a single color on it. That's not what I'm going to do because I want to have the colors be a little bit more random. So I'm going to spread out this region and do maybe not all the colors, but maybe like 2 or something in there. And we're going to have fun with it and add the color on that way, which I think is going to be really unique. But we definitely could at this point use these resist points to then add the color that we want on. And that actually could be an easier way to do it that way versus painting, say, a purple section, then adding the resist on and hoping you got it where you wanted it to be. So I think that hopefully I will remember. I may not remember in time for the recap, but hopefully in general I will remember that that is something that I would like to do at some point. That I want to do. Yeah, I'll try to write this down actually right now. Before I forget. This week in, you know, a name for Dye Pot Weekly before I named it was, and my my spreadsheet is still called This Week in the Dye Pot. It's not, it's like, more like placeholder name. Okay, episode list, which I have to scroll down a ton, but I want to do resist. Okay, resist dyeing. Resists first. Okay, videos I want to do, and this is how it happens. And this is why, what was I gonna say? This is why I also, like, you'll see videos go through, like, series sometimes. Like, today's video, was trying to do the, like, shakers on a non-superwash wool for speckles, which I want to revisit speckling non-superwash wool anyway, but the shakers weren't the best choice. Oh dear, I didn't think this through. Oh well, I guess I'm washing all of these. The shakers weren't the best choice for that because it just applied the dye way too heavily, and so I need to do like a fingertip version to try that. But you know, a lot of times there'll be a lot of videos that I feel like I film at once that use the same colors because that's what I have mixed. Like a lot of times, you know, I mix these colors at the beginning of today's stream. So a lot of times I might be like, oh, okay, I have these colors still mixed. I know what's in them, or like these are the dye stocks I prepared. Okay, I'm going to use those colors and do another video. So that's why sometimes there'll be just like a series of videos that have similar colors because I'm trying to use like what I'd prepared, but in like more of a planned way. The only problem with doing this is it does shift the shape of some zip ties, but that's not that bad. Okay, I'm going to turn on steamer basket again, but first, there is plenty of water. Plenty of water. Okay. This is so cool. This is so cool. So now I could choose, you know, we've got some grays. It's not like perfectly dark, but I could choose to add colors in some of those other spots as well. I don't think I'm necessarily going to do that. I think I want to focus just on the white areas, but if there's a drip that goes askew, that's totally fine. But I'm really happy I did it this way. I think that it is way more manageable. So, to think about how I want to do this. Maybe we'll just start with like and again, it's okay if some of the color goes somewhere else. And it's even okay if we have some white. But the goal, and I'm even going to go, there's some areas that are just like a little bit gray. And I'm going to let myself add some color in some of those spots just because why not? And it's going to be okay if there is some white left. That is not something that I am going to be sad about at all. And it doesn't need to be even. I don't think in any of these I'm going to put all of the colors in all of them, but I may. Hard to know for sure. But I think the way to do this that makes the most sense is to roughly start in one region at a time, because that's just an organized way to go about it. And I can decide to add more color on. You know, you can do however you like. But yeah, I am finding like there's some gray areas, and I'm just letting myself add some as we go. Because why not? Oh, I don't know what that was. But there were also white lights. Oh no, that's the wrong color, but that's okay. We'll just put you there. Blue. If you're just tuning in, all of these colors I mixed myself. These were a lot of pre-mixed colors that then I combined. Like I used frozen blue and some pink orchid to make this blue that I am using right now. And yeah, all of these like little areas have different sizes. And you know, it's okay if there's like a random spot of pink in some of this. The goal is, you know, for it to feel, I guess, fun and exciting. Okay, let's do, ooh, this patch. Okay, so that's you. And so this one, we're not necessarily going about things in the same order either. So some of these are doing like a smaller patch next, some are bigger. And I'm not sure about how or why I might decide to do one color but not necessarily another. But we're adding, this is the same technique I did on a yarn at first, but we're adding in these little itty bitty lights. And let's do just a little bit of some yellow. Some of these don't have a lot of space. And we're going to do some green, because this will also just mean that not every round is going to be the same. I don't want it to feel like a perfect repeating colorway. I want it to feel like we have something. Oh, well, I mean, that's fine. I was supposed to do this one, not that one. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just roughly trying to do the same things on each of them. But again, it's not a big deal at all that I did it over there. But the goal with these resists is to try to make it feel non-perfect, non-repeating. So, you know, I don't want it to feel like, oh, there's like a purple light and then a yellow light every time. So that's why I'm attempting to somewhat randomly apply these colors in. And sometimes the color left may be, it might be one color every time, and that is also okay. Okay. And you know, we'll be able to go back and look and see if there's more of anything we need to add. But let's go over there. And this time, okay, this time we're at you. And, okay, that one was mostly pink. Let's do this golden yellow. And blue. Oops, I forgot to do you. And it's okay if things overlap some. They do not have to. Okay, and I need yellow here. Sorry if I'm not talking as much. I am very focused on this. And I want, so both of those have had green so far. Maybe I'll just do like some hints and some pink occasionally. Because I could try to do it so that way every single one was all of the colors, but I think that that would be hard. It would be hard to visualize. And because I'm trying to think, and I don't want it to feel like too rainbow ordered, I am trying to be very thoughtful and intentional about what I put in. And there's an area of light gray, so I'm like popping in some other colors. Okay. All right, did that mostly, and again, white is totally fine. Oh, did I miss you? Maybe. Can I do blue? Maybe not. Okay. All right, we need purple. And I'm going to put in a little bit of yellow. You could also just do a different color on another side. Purple, heavy purple. Or is this accidentally, oh, that's fine. No, that is the purple, not the blue. I was like, I can't tell. And pink. I'm also going to do a little bit of green, because why not? Okay, purple. Very focused, everyone. Some of these are very, very thin. All right. I'm enjoying this. I have no idea what I'm going to think in the end. No idea. Okay, that is that one. Put some pink. Okay. Okay, so that's a big area. All of them have a big area for this next one. So in this one, we may try to do a little bit of everyone. Or maybe I'll do like a few Yeah, we can try to do a little bit of everyone. See how that goes. Pink and blue so far. Green. Yellow. Okay, yellow. Okay, and I'm going to do purple on the other side of this. Oop, purple is here. Okay. You know, this is from, I'm not sure what this is making me think of. I don't know if this is almost feels like so much more floral than like pops of a little light. Maybe like I should have done each one like an individual color. Maybe I'll do another set like that at some point. But I'm really enjoying this. I don't know how it's visually showing up. Ooh. I'm stretching. Well, thank you for saying it reminds you of Van Gogh. It's making me think very like Van Gogh. It's feeling very impressionistic. Okay, I have 3 sections left on that one and on this one, and I see some white. And what about you? This one of them I did, oh dear, am I attached? I'm attached. One of them oh dear, that would have been bad. Okay. On one of them, I did a duplicate already. So I think that those are, as I fall off the table, the final regions. It's the final. I should not sing. Hopefully that 2 seconds won't result in a copyright claim. I mean, not that y'all want me to sing anyway, because, whew. I think the other day Keith was like, you know, you could try to sing better. And I'm just like, I can't sing. It's not about, like, not trying. It's just, I am not good at carrying a tune at all. Nice. Okay, so far so good. What are we, purple? Okay, I hear you. I'm going to turn you down. Don't worry. Ooh, my back. This is certainly unique. I will give it that. Oh, pink. Where am I even working anymore? I don't know. I'm just like, I am losing track of where we need color and where we don't. Okay. I'm gonna flip this over. You, I was working down here. You, I was working, I think, over there. Let's do blue. Nope, blue's over here. I don't know what I'm going to do with these leftover dyes yet. I haven't thought that far ahead. Yellow. Certainly unique. Certainly unique, but okay, I want some pink. Because as I pick it up, I can see if there's anywhere that feels too white. What color are you? Purple? Okay. Okay. Pretty good. Not entirely sure. Oh dear. One of these was blue. Not entirely sure how I feel. It's fun. I don't think it's what I had in my brain, but it's fun, and I'm glad I did it this way. Okay, I'm going to steam set this now. I'm not taking a picture first because we'll have the finished dried yarn. Oops, I need to reset the timer. I know I wasn't talking very much during that, but I was very, very focused. And I'm going to join y'all down at the counter in a moment. Or on camera. And so we'll see the inspiration photo again in a moment. I don't know if it feels like that to me. It is cool. I like it. It doesn't quite have that feel. And I'd have to see how it knits up. Because you almost want the colors to pool, but planned pooling gives me a headache to try to like figure that out and use that level of precision. Because part of what I enjoy about hand dyeing yarn is the lack of precision that you have. The imperfectness of it. So I like what I've created. I think it is a very fun idea, and this is something that I definitely want to do again and explore further because, yeah, I'm interested in exploring that. I think it would be really fun to speckle onto these light patches as well that are randomly placed. Not singing random lyrics might be harder than swearing. Probably. Probably. I'm so good at usually, well, I don't sing when I'm like filming the other camera, but when it's live, sometimes like, I mean, in this house, I break badly into song a lot. But I think that at this point, I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to store these colors because I know that my kids will start itching to come down in about half an hour, and that'll probably be about how long it takes me to like reasonably clean everything up. So I'm going to sign off shortly. But you will see the finished yarn in a recap, and then the yarn that I did just those dots on, but there's no black yet, I will dye that and film that for the recap because yeah, I don't really feel like speckling today. Not when someone could decide to come downstairs. Like once they're in bed, I know they're not going to come downstairs, and so I'll do stuff with dry powder. But and I mean I do it when they're at school and stuff too. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining me. Please, if you enjoyed this live stream, give the video a thumbs up. Oh, for a second I thought it's just I think my fingernail. Please give the video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. And in your app settings, you can decide if you want push notifications, so that way you'll get, like, your phone will let you know when I start a live stream. And again, I am doing just like a one-day little flash sale. Oh no. No, I need to get the link again. Oh wait, I can do it this way. There we go. Today only, you can save 10% off all ready-to-ship yarn and other things in my Etsy shop. Just use the code Happy New Year, or if you click the link that I just dropped in the chat or that's at the top of the video description, that should automatically apply that coupon code to your cart. And so you can get 10% off almost everything in my shop. It excludes the Dye Pot Weekly Lab Partner listing. That's the only exclusion. And so that sale ends tonight, January 7th, 2022. I'm not used to saying 2022 yet, at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So you have about 9.5 more hours to take advantage of that coupon. But anyway, thank you all again for understanding when I moved the stream from last night to today. I hope that you have enjoyed it. And yeah, it's in mid-February, I'll share a recap that shows the finished dried yarn. And I think I'm going to be playing around with this technique more because I'm excited and intrigued. Do I have a video about blue semi-solid yarn? You're having issues with the blue you're dyeing. I definitely have videos where I do blue semi-solids. There's one for sure, and I used a blue on my Dive into Dye-In playlist. That video is on the Dyer Supplier channel, but it's a video that I made, and I should have that playlist here on this channel. The water won't go clear. Blues can be tricky, and it depends on which blue. If the water won't clear, I might give up, remove the yarn, because you're washing. Sometimes with some blues, what I will have to do is, if it's bleeding a lot, I will go and set up an immersion dye pot with a lot of acid, and I will reheat the yarn doing that. And then if color comes out while it's hot, I remove the yarn then, and then try to wash, and sometimes that helps. But yeah, some blues can be tricky, especially if you use too much. So I'm sorry that that's happening. But anyway, yeah, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Oh, and again, if you want to have your yarn featured in the recap from this, that'll come out in early mid-February, dye some yarn or blend some fiber, dye something, dye a t-shirt even, inspired by this inspiration photo, and share it on Instagram with the hashtag ChemKnitsDyeAlong, or look for this photo, wait, there. Okay, there are my fingers. This photo on the ChemKnits Facebook page and reply with a photo comment, and I'll pull a bunch of photos to include in the recap. And of course, you're always welcome, even after the recap is out, to participate in this month or any of the past dye-alongs. Just if you're going to do like an older one, so it's not confusing, just put like in your caption what month it was you were dyeing from, and that would help me out a lot. Oh, I'm so glad my videos are helping. Oh, it's not bleeding. Oh, Lisa said it's not bleeding, it's the dye bath. You may give up. Yeah, if the last bit of blue isn't absorbing, I would, and it's been a long time, I might give up. Because sometimes you could get all that to absorb, and then it'll come back out when you wash. So it depends on the blue, but feel free to leave a comment after the video and let me know what type of yarn and what blue dye you were using, and I can reply. I tend to look at YouTube comments and try to reply to questions there. I don't always see, if I've replied to a comment, if someone replies to me in that thread, I don't always see those. So sometimes if you have a follow-up question, just start a new thread on the video, because then I have things filtered based on like if I've replied to it or not. So if I've replied to it already, it doesn't show up if there's like a reply to me. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And if it's snowy where you are, please stay warm. Bye!